My name is Robin Schneider, and I'm with Texas Campaign for the Environment. I'm the statewide director of the organization. And back in 2007, we had a local activist, Rick Hofer, actually started an effort called Bag the Bags. And he went to City Council, and what City Council decided to do was just a kind of voluntary program to start with some of the major retailers to give out more reusable bags and to encourage people to use reusable rather than plastic single-use bags. And it went for 18 months, and there was some decrease in the use, but after 18 months they were no longer reporting what was going on, and they didn't reach the targets that the City Council set, which was to reduce the plastic bag going into the landfill by 50%. Of course, what's going into the landfill is not all the plastic bag waste. Plenty of it, winds up in the storm drains or the oceans or wherever. So after the voluntary program didn't really meet the goals set, we started organizing for a plastic bag ban. Just 2 weeks ago, we had the first meeting of a new stakeholder group that includes, everyone, including the bag makers, which are just down the road in Houston, and the retailers. We have Whole Foods is headquartered here. Of course, they've gotten rid of plastic bags worldwide. And our point really is we need to get rid of the bags. Of course, they don't want to get rid of the bags. So we are, at our suggestion, the City Council requested that our Solid Waste Services Department do a study about how much the bags are costing taxpayers. Because we can get a certain number of people who, are concerned about the environmental impacts, but you pick up a whole nother load of people when you tell them these bags are costing us, maybe 10 cents a piece or 17 cents a piece or whatever as taxpayers. So it's not much expense on the store that's giving them out. The expense is really on the taxpayers who have to clean up after them, and, of course, the wildlife and everybody else that's affected by the bags when they are, released into the environment. Well, zero waste is an idea that's catching on around the world. A number of countries, like New Zealand, have a zero waste goal. The UN Urban Environmental Accords were held in 2005. You had hundreds of cities signing these urban accords, and one of them was zero waste. And Austin's mayor signed those accords, and in January of 2009, Austin became the first city in Texas to adopt a zero waste strategic plan. And there's a whole lot of things that are going to get us to zero that have to work together. One is obviously increasing our curbside recycling, which is kind of stalled around 30% for a while. But we also need the producers to take back their products and design products for recycling. But we also need to get rid of some of these products that really can only be downcycled if they are captured, and that's things like plastic bags. So it's a whole range of policies, including composting. We want to see curbside compost pickup. We need to get businesses and institutions, large institutions here. We have the University of Texas. We have state government, lots of hospitals. We need to get them with the program and not just focus on the residential. We need to get the apartment buildings and office buildings on board. So we are starting on this plan. We have formed a grassroots alliance, the Austin Zero Waste Alliance, and we also have the Central Texas Zero Waste Alliance, which is working to make this a regional effort, because Austin cannot do this on its own. So we're reaching out to people in the surrounding counties to join us and create the jobs. This is really about using resources wisely and creating jobs locally to reuse these materials and these resources. So definitely we see the plastic bag ban as part and parcel of our zero waste goal and reaching that goal. Back in 2009, a state legislator whose son was actually very interested in having his mom do something about plastic bags introduced legislation on the Senate side, and there were actually two bills on the House side as well. And the bill on the Senate side first said that if you offered plastic bags for packaging that you had to provide recycling and you had to sell reusable bags as well as an alternative. And that was all fine and good, and I actually testified in favor of it, but when I was there to listen to the bill being presented before the committee, it seemed like the author had made some changes and put in language that would have stopped local governments from being able to go further and actually ban plastic bags, let alone have a fee on plastic bags. So I had to kind of hedge my comments and say, well, I haven't seen the current language, and so it kind of concerns me, but we definitely think something needs to be done about plastic bags. When I did have a chance to read the language, it was a little ambiguous, but it could have easily been interpreted to mean that cities could not ban plastic bags. So our organization took a stand against a plastic bag recycling bill because it would have stopped local governments from doing anything more than what this bill would have allowed cities to do. Luckily, that bill did die on the House side. But I definitely think with Brownsville passing a ban and hopefully Austin passing a ban and perhaps others like San Antonio taking some action, we're going to be fighting legislation at the state level in Texas in 2011, which would preempt cities from passing more bans. And I don't think the legislature will allow legislation out that would allow local governments to pass a tax on the bags. And my understanding is that in California, there was talk about, well, should we ban the bags or should we tax the bags? And the industry forces were very sneaky and snuck in a provision to a bill saying that local governments can't tax bags. And that's why San Francisco instead, and then other cities, went for a ban on the bags because the industry actually prevented them from putting a tax on. So that's the only choice that they had. So now they're looking at a statewide ban on plastic bags, which I sure as heck hope passes. Texas Campaign for the Environment, we have offices in Austin and Dallas and in Houston, and we're on the web at www.texasenvironment.org.